diet, about their physical activity, about the way that they live their lives. We think that wearables are a key to the MAHA agenda, making America healthy again, and we are going to, my vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Following up.
Minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And like many here, Mr. Secretary, I have many questions. I'm going to go to an issue we agree on in a minute. How are we going to lower drug prices? But before I do that, I want to invite you to come to the University of Michigan, which is one of the nation's leading recipients of NIH funding. You mentioned it here, but didn't talk about how much they're driving innovation and keeping the United States at the forefront of biomedical research. Every week that I'm home, I meet with a group of scientists who are doing liver cancer, pancreatic cancer, ovarian cancer, brain cancer, diabetes, burn pits, and mental health. Groundbreaking, that's just frozen. And we're going to lose a generation of researchers. And I want you to hear about their work and how worried about they are, because this country has led for the last decades in innovation and technology, and we cannot lose that. So please, can we work together to make sure the research that has to happen does?
Congressman, I will work absolutely with you. You can call me in my office if you have a study that has been cut. That
I have a lot.
And
so I'm
call
going
me
to.
up, and we'll talk about them, and I'll get you answers on all of them.
Deal. Thank you. But now, let's talk about an issue we agree on, which is lowering. How are we going to lower drug prices?
The issue of
lowering drug prices for American consumers. Right. This is why Democrats work so hard to pass the Inflation Reduction Act and create the Medicare Drug Price Negotiation Program, which provided you, the Secretary, with the authority to negotiate pharmaceutical companies to lower drug prices for the Medicare program. Do you support the drug price negotiation program and commit to using the tools and authorities provided to you under the law to drive down prescription drug costs for the American?
Yeah, I mean, we're using every tool that's given to us, and President Trump has ordered me to do something that no other president has, which is to establish across the board most favored nations so that we're not paying more than Europeans are. We're in negotiations right now, today, with the drug companies over that. We're going to be able to lower drug prices during this administration more than any administration in history.
So, you know, I agree with you. Just for the record, I offered that amendment in committee when we were doing reconciliation.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
And every Democrat voted for it. And I love my friends, but they voted against it. Just going to make that point. But can
All right, well, then let's work together on it.
Deal. But can you tell me how, I want to understand how you intend to get drug manufacturers to comply and lower their U.S. prices. Will you require manufacturers to align their U.S. prices with those overseas? And if so, how will you enforce it?
How do we're going to get it. We have a number of sticks and we have a number of carrots.
All right, we want to work with you. We got to do it.
I'm happy to go into detail.
Well, I'm with you.
It's a very complex negotiation.
I know that.
And it's going to take not only cooperation with the drug companies, but cooperation with the European community, with Canada, with Japan, with Australia. And we're working on all that right now.
And we got to get our Republican colleagues to support us. Do you expect to reach manufacturer agreements on a negotiated price by November 1, as required by the statute, on time for seniors to be able to benefit from these lower drug prices at the pharmacy counter by January 1, 2027?
We are on time at this point. I don't know.
At this point bothers me, so can we just work together to ensure it's done by November 1?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I look forward to it.
Do you commit to rejecting administrative changes to the IRA that are contrary to your stated goal of driving down prescription drug prices for the American people?
Well, we are going to drive down prescription drug prices. I don't know what provisions you're talking about. If it's the negotiation provisions, as I said, we are doing that right now.
Thanks. And let me ask you, because we're going to run out of time, how does this commitment to lowering drug prices square with the administration's proposal to extend the period that small molecule drugs are excluded from negotiation from 9 to 13 years, thereby keeping drug prices higher for Medicare beneficiaries for an additional 4 years of these drugs?
I'm not sure what your question is.
Well, you've made it some of the companies that we want to lower those drugs, you've excluded them from negotiations from 9 to 13 years on their patent. So that's going to keep it higher for Medicare beneficiaries. We're not going to be able to negotiate on a lot of drugs that seniors are taking.
Well, I mean, we're negotiating all drugs across the board. So, I mean,
I'm going to hold you to that. We're going to work together because we got to lower the cost of drugs for the American people. Thank you, and I yield back. Thank you.
Gentlelady yields back. That's 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Kennedy, I want to ask you about how the department is gutting our federal investment in prevention and treatment of HIV. I'm perplexed why in April your administration shuttered nearly every unit in the CDC's Division of HIV Prevention and reassigned CDC's top HIV official, Dr. Jonathan Merman. Given that CDC has historically been the cornerstone of domestic HIV prevention efforts, do you know the percentage of all federal funding for HIV prevention provided by your agency, CDC?
Congressman, we don't intend to cut HIV treatment. We are part of the reorg is reassigning HIV treatment.
But respectfully, sir, you have. It's not the response to your answer to the question. What I'd like you to know is it's 91% of all federal funding for HIV prevention. 91%. These cuts have been devastating for prevention of critical trials. You say you don't want to cut, but the reality is you have. Sir, in a second. According to a report in the American Association of Medical Colleges, AAMC, 160 active clinical trials associated with NIH overall were terminated in 2025, and more than 1/3 of those, 38%, investigating topics were related to HIV/AIDS. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, with unanimous consent, enter into the record impact on NIH grant terminations that have been sanctioned and approved by this agency.
Without objection.
We have 27 HIV departments. We spend $7.5 billion a year, not $1 billion, but $7.5 billion. Those are being consolidated and transferred to the
Respectfully,
Agency
Mr. Secretary,
for Healthy
have,
America.
respectfully, Mr. Secretary, there have been cuts. We're not talking about consolidation. We're talking about cuts midstream, in the middle of research, in the middle of action. Let me be more specific, an example of what these cuts in HIV clinical trials mean. The Adolescent Trial Network for HIV Intervention, which supports studies of teenagers and young adults, received a stop work order that shut down research at 14 sites where 7 studies were being conducted. Were you aware of that, sir?
We have not,
Were you aware of that, sir?
No, we have not cut any clinical
trials. Were you aware of that, sir, respectfully?
As I said.
Were you aware, sir? Yes or no? Either you were or you weren't.
As far as I know, we haven't cut any clinical
But I'm telling you by your own records you are, so apparently that means you were not aware. Number
Well,
two,
a lot of
Mr.
things
Secretary,
that I've heard
were you
from
aware
this
that your
side-
department green-lighted these grants for termination? Did you make these decisions?
Like I said, as far a lot of the information that I've heard from this side of the aisle today has been untrue, mischaracterization.
Mr. Secretary, you're testifying that you are unaware who within the administration of your department made decisions to terminate research at 14 sites where 7 studies were being conducted. This is unacceptable, sir. Lastly, I'd like to bring your attention to termination of HIV vaccine studies. These cuts make up $258 million. Secretary Kennedy, did you make the decision to terminate these studies?
I didn't personally make that decision, but I understand.
You sanctioned them. How could you possibly justify such an action?
We've been studying been promising an HIV vaccine since 1984. And every year Congress pours money into it, and every year
because they haven't come up
every
with
year
what
it
you then
accomplishes
cut the
nothing.
forward motion by getting rid of NIH dollars that critically do research that save lives, and because it hasn't happened yet, well, we haven't.
me
Sir,
one
sir, it's
life.
my time. It's my time.
Show me
sir,
one
it's
life.
my time, sir.
Show me one
I
life.
can show you a whole lot of lives if you got a minute. I'm insulted that you would suggest that there aren't lives that have been lost. People are dying every day, sir. And for you to say, show me one, there are people all over this country that are suffering the loss of their loved ones. Sir, here's the reality. Here's a whole bunch of studies that I'd like to submit for unanimous consent to the record that will debunk many of the things that you're saying and will in fact prove that you aren't being forthright with us or the American people. May I, sir?
Without objection.
as we look and we listen and we see where we are, the challenge and the fear, sir, of the state of now and the arrogance and the unwillingness to be forthright with the American people. Mr. Secretary, your uncle, President John F. Kennedy, and your father, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, were towering champions for working Americans, for justice, for dignity, and for those without a voice. They fought to lift people up. So I'll ask this rhetorical question as I end.
The gentleman's
happened?
time has
What
expired.
happened?
The
What
gentleman's time has
What
expired. The
happened?
chair now
What
recognizes
happened?
the gentleman from New
I
York,
yield.
Mr. Langworthy, for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, first, I'd just like to offer you a moment to respond to the outlandish claims